Choma, I know you have a link to United. If you watch that game, how did you see Manchester United play, especially for the first half?
Anyway, I think, Messi football ended up lucky as usual,
We all know that those smaller teams, the Southern teams, the Crystal Palace, the Nottingham Forest, these are the teams that usually will challenge the big boys when it comes to EPL. When it comes to two Jordan. Yeah, I'm actually smiling because Man U won. So
yeah.
Early this morning, I was thinking United fans must be just enjoying this weekend. When you play first and win your game, you just chill.
Right.
Yeah.
Transit TV, welcome back to the studio. Welcome back to Beyond the Scoreline series. The panel is here today to look at a few key games of the weekend. It's been a very, how am I going to put it now, very exciting weekend, very intriguing one way or the other. Liverpool fans, I know, are still wondering if they have played this weekend or their game is still to come. Manchester United have 3 points in the bag. Arsenal, mysteriously, somehow, one way or the other, have 3 points in the bag. City has 3 points in the bag. And that's the story of the weekend. Aston Villa came back from the dead and excavated 3 points against Everton yesterday as well. So the panel is here to look at these games and extract a few talking points from them, and don't forget to let us know what you think in any of these conversations today. And of course, if you're new here, like, share, and subscribe if you have not done so, and enjoy this ride. Guys, you are welcome to the show.
Now go there.
Yes, good to be here.
Yes. Where do we start from? We have Aston Villa, Everton. We have Manchester United, Aston Villa, Southampton, of course, Arsenal, Tottenham, Everton, and Liverpool lost to Nottingham Forest. Let's start with that game, Liverpool. Ubum, last week or sometime a few days ago, you and I had a conversation, and we were saying that Anna Slot. I was telling you that Anna Slot, for me, has done a good job, but it might be that new manager bounce. EPL has a way of figuring you out after a few games. Where do you put this loss to Nottingham Forest by Liverpool?
Man, I didn't see that coming. I thought Liverpool were better this season, and I still think they are better this season. Mainly because they've sorted out their midfield kind of. They're using Gravenberch, as a defensive midfielder. He has a good passing range, has the energy, and has the presence that's needed in midfield to make it work. So it was no wonder that they started the season wonderfully well. I saw them in preseason against Arsenal. I thought they were very impressive. So far, they've hardly even used Nunes, and they've been pretty much steamrolling, all the opponents. But Nottingham Forest came with a plan for them that maybe Arne Slot wasn't prepared for and couldn't adjust to on time, before he could get himself together. Nottingham grew stronger and stronger into the game. But one thing we shouldn't discount is that Nottingham made a couple of very smart purchases in this window. James Ward-Prowse is a player that remains underrated till tomorrow. He is not given the credit that he deserves as a midfielder. Very hardworking, knows the EPL inside out, will do his job. He will guarantee that he does his job in midfield for you and on set pieces. Now, Alberto Moreno was purchased from Villarreal by Unai Emery for Aston Villa. I've watched that guy play for Aston Villa. I'm surprised that Aston Villa got rid of him in the summer. And Nottingham Forest were smart enough to get him. You see the job he did on Salah yesterday. You'll see the value that he brings to the table. So those two players made a lot of difference for for Nottingham Forest.
Okay, I agree with you. Before I chip in my 10 cents, Justice Elanga and Hudson-Odoi, two rejects from Chelsea and Manchester United. I'm of the opinion that Elanga, by next season, if he continues, because this is not a fluke, he was doing this last season as well. He continues like this, he might end up in one of the top Big Six teams by next season. I don't know what was your impression about those two players?
Oh yeah, I mean there were reports that Newcastle actually offered 50 million for him during the summer window, and Nottingham Forest rejected it.
Yeah.
So sometimes players need to leave to grow. Look at the guy that played for England. He was a Man U's books. I've forgotten his name. The midfielder that went to Lille.
Angel Gomez.
Angel Gomez. This guy was the captain for the United reserves, and for whatever reason, he knew that he just couldn't break into the first team and get a regular playing time, so he needed to leave. And we offered him all sorts of guarantees and all sorts of money, and he rejected it. And he went to Lille, and Lille loaned him to Boavista. He ended up going a different route, and today he's playing for the English national team and actually marshalling that midfield like as if it.
That was a surprise, man.
Yeah, so sometimes players need to leave to really, really rediscover themselves, and that I don't know that was the case with Hudson-Odoi, because Hudson-Odoi went to Germany, he didn't do well. He came back to England, still didn't do well before he now went to Nottingham Forest. And last season he struggled a little bit, but this season is just 4 games in, and then they have a new manager. Elanga, on the other hand, did well last season for Nottingham Forest, and he seems to have carried that over this season. So I guess it's a situation where United's loss is Nottingham Forest's gain. But the question is, how long are they going to sustain it? That should be the thing we should look out for. I wish them nothing but the best. I just hope that when it comes to playing against United, they flop. So.
Yeah. For me, Chaba, do you want to say anything about the game? Okay, yeah. For me, I think one of the key things in that game for Liverpool, 2 things. There are so many, but let me just stay on 2. First of all, I've said it here many times. If Salah doesn't perform, Liverpool always finds it difficult. They struggle. Yesterday, Salah was off it. He couldn't. His touches were not as they used to be. His end product was not just as good enough as it usually used to be, and that was the reason why they did not score a goal. That was on one side. But in terms of the general play of the game, I think Arne Slot has come into EPL and Liverpool. He decides to go a little bit, maybe 1 gear lesser than what Klopp used to do for Liverpool. Slow the game down, recycle possession, take your time, build your play and score. But EPL is a funny league. The intensity is in the core of this league. Most of the time, when you come into a game in a lower intensity and your opponent is at it, you find it difficult to measure up. So I think that's what happened to Liverpool yesterday. The intensity that Nottingham Forest came to that game with, and they were effective with it. So it was difficult for Liverpool to cope with. Over and over and over and again, Elanga with his speed and tenacity, although on the other side, was peppering Liverpool fullbacks. You remember, he even had to switch them. He had to bring in Bradley. Bradley was worse, although he cooked him all through the time he was on that pitch. So I think Arne Slot needs to understand that EPL, one of the unique things about EPL is the intensity at which teams play. So you need to find a way to match it. And if you can't match it, you have to be intentional the way Arsenal was today to make sure that you understand the ingredients that the opponent is going to come with and try to create those ingredients. Other than that, you're going to struggle. So for me, that's one of the reasons why I think Liverpool struggled yesterday. They couldn't really have Nottingham Forest where they wanted them all through the game. And of course, and that goal that Nottingham Forest scored wasn't the only chance they created. They had a lot of chances. It's just that they only took one. So that's the way I will look at that. So let's go to Manchester United yesterday. They beat Southampton away from home 3-0. If you like, this program is beyond the scoreline. If you're a Manchester United fan and maybe you were busy in school, you check the scoreline, Man, you won 3-0, you think United, blew away Southampton. But that's not the way I see it. I'll have my own time to talk. Choma, I know you have a link to United. if you watch that game, how did you see Manchester United play, especially for the first half?
Anyway, I think, Messi football ended up lucky as usual, yeah. I don't think there was anything special about yesterday, apart from the 3 goals and 3 points that they finally, it's like getting away with just being all over the place. But if I say this now, some people will be like, oh, no. Did you not see we cooked? And seriously, we're talking Southampton. They tend to not be the most serious team. Going to the championship and coming back, they just have a knack for doing that and coming back alive, thinking that it's going to be rosy, like, whatever. But cooking Southampton is not enough for me. Seriously. But congratulations on the point.
Yeah, Justice Onana saved a penalty. Delete had a goal line clearance. All of a sudden, bam, in the net. Before you know it, 3 goals. What's your overall, evaluation of Manchester United's performance yesterday? Are you impressed? Is United back? Erik ten Hag?
A win is a win. Am I impressed?
Sure.
I'm impressed that we won.
Sure.
Is United back? Not by a long shot. Just like Chema said, we got the job by being all over the place. However, I will say this. We all know that those smaller teams, the Southamptons, the Crystal Palace, the Nottingham Forest, these are the teams that usually will challenge the big boys when it comes to EPL. When it comes to 2 juggernauts playing, quite often the game is very tactical. But the scoreline ends up being very, very slim. But when you play against these smaller teams, they're the ones that surprise you. And we're playing Southampton at home. They have this new kid that played on the right side, and this kid, I mean, he's good. He's a left footer. He was one that got the penalty. Up until then, Southampton was doing their thing. Of course, typical United fashion, 5-10 minutes we're dominating, and then we drop. And Southampton picked up, and they were doing their thing. I think it was about the 25th minute or thereabouts.
28.
That they had the 28 minutes. They had the penalty, and that save was a catalyst for United, because I was shocked. Hell, I believe Onana himself was shocked that he got the save. And not only did he make the save, he actually saved the rebound. And 2 minutes later, we had the ball in the back of the net. And if you watch that header, it wasn't the best of headers. I mean, Delete looked like he was flopping, and the ball just seemed to get past Ramsdale. But that was what we needed. And then shortly after, Rashford, who hasn't scored since March of this year, scored a very, very lucky goal that if he was given a chance to do it again, he wouldn't be able to replicate it. But that's what it takes. Sometimes it's a game like this that United needs to get going. We win this game, and then the momentum builds, the confidence gets back there. So I was actually very, very happy that United won the game. Was I very impressed with the way they played? No. But I was very impressed with the final goal. Casemiro has been in the doghouse for the last couple of weeks. He gave a true pass that Dalot picked up and did a square, did a cutback that Garnacho scored. I don't remember the last time United scored a goal like that. Typically, it's individual brilliance that gives us a goal, but this was a goal that was walked and ended up in the net. So I was very impressed with that. All in all, I'm just hoping that United uses this as a game that kicks off their season.
Ogun, let me ask you right quick. For me, as somebody that is detailed when I watch games or play, when the lineup was out, I was asking myself, what's Ten Hag trying to achieve in this game? The midfield was Eriksen, Meno, and Bruno Fernandes, on the top of the cherry, because he had the Eriksen on the base, Meno, and I think Bruno Fernandes. I knew it was Southampton, but still, I was like, what's going on here? And I think I was justified to think that way, because for almost 30 minutes, Southampton was on United. United had nothing to offer in the midfield. It was just free hit for Southampton. But of course, they find it difficult to score goals. They couldn't score. and from nowhere, United got their first goal, and the rest was history. I don't know what was your impression about how United played in the midfield and that combination of Eriksen, Meno, and Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah, I thought there was a lot of space for Southampton to exploit in that first half. Unfortunately for Southampton, they couldn't take their chances, including the penalty. I thought the penalty was too close to Onana. Onana, of course, made the routine save. Apart from that, like Justice mentioned, their right winger attacking midfielder, very gifted. That boy definitely has a future, a bright one at that. So he gave what's his name? The Portuguese
Dalo was
He gave him a really hard
was a nightmare.
Yeah, and he caused the penalty that they ended up. So you see, when you're playing sides like United, the experience is there, the know-how is there. So when you get chances, take your chances, especially if you're one of the lower sides, because once they get theirs, they will exploit. And Xerxes came close, in the opening minutes of the game before Southampton grew into it. So once they started missing those chances, I kind of sensed that this would be United's day because, Southampton just didn't have the know-how to be able to win games like that. If you want to beat the likes of United, score early and try and score more than one. That way, they feel like they can't get back into the game. But once they feel like they can get back into the game, they will get back into the game and most likely win it.
Yeah, so let me stay with you on right there before Choma come to Choma. Everton traveled to Villa Park yesterday, and to be honest, I've not seen them on that jersey, and maybe I've not watched them that much this season. They were looking different in jersey, and were looking different in their approach as well. If you didn't, if you didn't know who was playing, you'd be wondering, is this Everton? And they had some very, very, very sparkling displays in the first 20 minutes of the game. 2 goals up. First half, Aston Villa was all over the place, and it looked like it was going to be one of those days that Everton will surprise everybody. They were just doing Shandai's play. They had the upper hand up to the first half. Again, I personally believe this is one of the things that is wrong with Emery. Sometimes his teams show up. You'll be wondering, is this the same Aston? Is this the same team that this guy is coaching? Sometimes they do it for a whole 90 minutes. Sometimes they do it for 45 minutes and they bounce back and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, second half, Aston Villa comes in and be the true Aston Villa that we know. Got 3 goals. And boy, what a hit from Duran. That young man has been doing bits for Aston Villa all season. So I don't know, how did you see that game? Do you think Everton should try and sustain the first half that we saw them, or they should just try and do what they normally do and try to stay in the division?
It will be a bit of both. They showed something different. I didn't watch the game, but I saw some highlights and I read some commentaries. Looks like they played a more cohesive, not the usual kick and follows type football they usually play. They played a more cohesive game in the first half, managed to get 2 goals ahead. Unfortunately, Everton was known for shutdowns. Pickford was fighting with Raya for clean sheets last season, but something has happened this season. They are leaking goals, and so they have to go back to what it was that gave them that the number of clean sheets they had last season. That would be the recipe to stay back in that division. Because if you leak goals in that division, there is no way. If they don't have the firepower to match, the teams that are scoring and winning games, the only way to stay in that division is to tighten up in defense. I'm looking at their coach. Sean Dyche is not my cup of tea, but he is a wily man that knows what it takes to stay in the EPL. If they get rid of someone like Sean Dyche, I wonder who they're going to hire. Do they have the resources to give the person the players that the person will need to do better? Everton seemed to me like a club that will get relegated. Just the makeup of the team. For the past 2 or 3 seasons, they've been sliding, fighting. Yeah. They seem like they don't have a plan to get out of where they are. So
it's not that they will get relegated. They need to be relegated. It looks like they needed to reset because they have been in this same thing every season, the last 2 seasons now. Choma, you want to say anything before I close on that one? Then we'll move to Arsenal.
Oh, I was just trying to say that Everton can never go. They will never go. Instead of Everton to go to relegation, Newcastle will go. They are just like that. They are not going anywhere, but they will keep taking the L, like, it's nothing. That game was the shocker. Seriously.
Yeah. Speaking of resources, I don't know if you have forgotten. Everton has resources. You remember the former Arsenal coach. They've been buying players for the past 3 seasons. They always buy players. It's just that somehow it doesn't work. Everton signs players every season, but they just don't sign quality. And like you already mentioned, Sean Dyche is meant for Everton right now. He's the only coach that can get something out of them. But one thing was also key yesterday in that game, which had nothing to do with their play or the coach. Calvin Lewin, or whatever they call him, Dominic.
Oh my days!
Come on, man. I remember last season or 2 seasons ago, Arsenal fans were all over the place. Sign him. I'm like, sign who? This guy will walk the defense down, create chances, run in behind, but just can't finish. Calvin Lewin had 3 clear-cut chances yesterday to put that game to bed. He refused to do it. Aston Villa came back, went 1 ahead. He still had another chance to get Everton at least a draw from that game. What did he do? What Dominic does. So I think apart from just not defending well or leaking goals, they need to find a way to score goals. Because if they're going to depend on that guy to get them, I think they're better off for him to get injured as he usually does. So somebody else will be there and get the goals. Because if he's fit, he's the one that plays. There was one that he had a chance to square play for somebody to just tap into the net. He took it himself and scuffled the chance. So for me, I think that's one of the areas that Everton needs to work on. Figure out how they want to score goals. Because Calvin Lewin, if it's not a corner kick or a free kick for a header, if he had to score with either of his feet, Everton has a problem. I don't know. Did you watch the game or you have anything to add before we move?
I watched part of the game. I was playing my own Champions League before they played, but I did see the 2 goals that Everton scored, and once I saw Everton score 2 goals, I figured it was done. I figured it was done. But surprisingly, when I went back and checked the scoreline, I saw that Aston Villa won the game. And when I watched the highlights, what really upset me about Everton was after the 3rd goal went in, Pickford was laughing. And that guy, I don't know, there's just something off with that guy. Because when it comes to the national team, this guy is a beast. But when it comes to the club team that he actually spends more time with, that you think he'll be better with, he makes some silly mistakes and he doesn't seem to want to take accountability for it. It's like he has that Omonile mentality. This is my own. No one is taking it away from me. And like you said, Everton's defense is shipping in goals. But let's be honest, though, they're also scoring goals. Calvin Lewin should have done better. It's just a bad day at the office. I don't see them getting relegated, though. I don't see them getting relegated.
Big time. Every time for Falcon is a bad day at the office. When is it going to be?
You're going to have a good day.
I don't see them getting relegated. They've been going through a lot of distraction in the back end. They've been trying to sell the club for the last 3 seasons. And last year someone put in a bid, and while they were going through the whole process, the person backed out. Now there's a new guy that's put in a bid, the guy that owns Crystal Palace or so. So I don't know. I just feel like everything needs to sort themselves out in the back end, and they will start playing better football up front.
It's a long haul. I don't know how they're going to do it. If Everton survives relegation this season, they need to celebrate it.
They will not go. Let's bet money.
They need to have a party.
They will